Hello, I'm Derek Ray, and you're listening to the Scottish Football Forums podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Scottish Football Forums podcast. I'm Craig, I'm the founder of Scottish Football Forums, and I'm joined today by my co-host Laurie.
Hello, Craig.
Hello, how you doing, Laurie?
Not too bad, not too bad.
You good? I thought to start off with, I thought we would start discussing the Europa League. I don't want to bring too much of a downer podcast, but I thought we'd start, and I thought we'd maybe start with your game that you were at, the Hearts against Spurs game.
It's already blocked from my memory. It never happened.
So how was it then? Well, explain the atmosphere really from start to finish. Like, obviously we know the scoreline that Hearts were beaten 5-0, but was there a lot of nervousness in the stadium before kick-off? Was there any expectation on Hearts to get a kind of performance from it?
It was anticipation in the stadium. I don't think it was a nervousness as such. I think it was always a game where, we were the underdogs, so there wasn't really pressure on us, I wouldn't say, to get a result or anything. So it was a really good atmosphere, and we kind of showed, I think, a sort of good humour, good spirit. We were still, as Harry Redknapp pointed out after, even when it was 4 then 5-0, we were still singing. I think we just had to kind of, hold our hands up and accept that we were just playing a team who were just a far, far different class to ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, I had some optimism, as obviously we mentioned in the podcast last week. I said maybe we could get a draw, but I did say on the podcast as well, it was dependent on what team Harry Redknapp put out, because if you put out a strong team, then we would have no chance. And when I saw the Spurs lineup about an hour before kickoff, we all kind of agreed that we'll take a 2 or 3 goal defeat would be delighted with. And it's always disappointing to lose 5-0. I mean, you're never happy with that, and I didn't think we played well the first half, not as well as we could. We seemed starstruck. We kind of stood off them, which is what I didn't expect. I expected them to outplay us technically, but I didn't expect us not to be putting the foot in, not to be closing them down. I thought that would be a given, especially in a big game like that, but we didn't. And when you give those players time and space, you see what happens. But I think there was a lot of overreaction about it. I think when you look for man, they just have far too much class. And you're talking about Gareth Bale up against Jamie Hamill, Van der Vaart, Van der Vaart, Ian Black on him, and Jermaine Defoe up against Zalewskis and Webster. These are players who sometimes concede 3 goals to, with all due respect, to teams like Motherwell or Kilmarnock or what. It's like the fact they conceded 5 to Spurs isn't a great surprise to me. So, yeah, it's disappointing, but I wouldn't say I was embarrassed by it, because we just were watching a huge gulf between two teams, and I think that Spurs side would have comfortably dispatched, probably not 5, but I think they would have comfortably dispatched Rangers or Celtic as well.
Yeah, it's difficult for me because I was in the pub aiming to watch the Rangers game, but they had a big screen showing the Rangers game. They had a smaller screen within eyesight showing the Hearts game, so I did have one eye on it. I was speaking to my mate beforehand, and he was going to the Celtic game, and he said to me to send him a text with updates of the scoreline. And to be honest, I did start to regret it, especially with Spurs scoring 5. I seemed to spend half the night on the phone texting them. But I thought the Hearts looked a lot better in the second half. As I say, I did only have one eye in the game, but the first half, what was it, 2-3 minutes that Spurs scored?
Yeah, I think that was a big factor in it, because the first goal was a very cheap one. We had a good chance to clear it. Zalewskis should have got it away. And I think that was the disappointing thing at the time, was like, right, with like the 5th goal in particular, you just got to say, well, what can you do? We had a corner, and within a couple of seconds, suddenly they were racing down the other side, and just the speed of Defoe and Lennon was scary. It was just like bang, 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 3-4 passes. Suddenly Defoe was lightning down the left wing, whipped it across goal, pinpoint, Lennon nipped in, scored, and it was like, what can you do to that? It's like, we just couldn't keep up. But like the first goal, you can't give away cheap goals like that, because they've got quality. And I think the weird thing is, if you looked at the stats, it wasn't like they were peppering. Kello didn't make lots of saves or anything. It's just when they got their chances, they finished them. And that's not to say that, the scoreline flattered Spurs. I think they had another gear or two they could have went up to if we had been causing them problems. So yeah, I just think when people criticise us, we didn't play great, but I think if we'd been at our absolute best, they could still have put 5 passes if they wanted to go up to that level, because they just have far better players. And the difference is when you play the Old Firm, you've always got a chance, because these days generally you've got a lot of good players at Old Firm, but they've maybe only got 2, maybe 3 players who are like really superior in that level. Maybe Rangers, you've got sort of Jelavic, who is top class. Still probably wouldn't get in Spurs team, but when you've got 11 players who are all man for man are that much better than your team, then it means everyone in the park you're weakened. You're not going to have areas where you maybe winning your battles. And I do have to say, I thought Templeton did pretty well actually against Kyle Walker. I gave him a few scares actually. He was pretty confident taking him on. He weaved past 2 or 3 Spurs players at one point and got into the box. It was just a last ditch tackle. And a Spurs fan I was speaking to actually said that as well. To be fair, he couldn't remember the name of the player, but he said that that wee guy for Hughes did quite well. Seemed to be good at taking on their team. So
yeah, I don't think it's a criticism really of Hearts that they got beat like that. I think it's just indicative of the gulf between the SPL and the EPL. I think with the money involved, and Spurs are a team that, well, we mentioned in the last podcast, we were talking about the predictions, and I think you mentioned that they'd beaten both Milans, and well, they did get soundly thumped by Real Madrid, but well, at least they were there. At least they were challenging. So yeah, so prediction wise, I'd went for 2-1 to Spurs, which I don't know, if I was playing the SFF predictor, I would have got 1 point for that. And Laurie, you mentioned earlier that you'd got 2-2, but you tried to say that you'd covered all bases by saying it depends what team they put out. But yeah, you're going to have to stick with 2-2, so you're getting 0 points for that.
Oh yeah, I know. I'll accept that, but I did not expect to see that 11. So, but oh well.
Yeah.
Ho hum.
So I mentioned earlier that I was out in the pub to watch the Rangers Maribor, and the pub's not the best place for keeping tabs of the game, especially when my mate kept trying to ply me with drink on a school night. But overall, I thought that if Rangers had come away with a draw, I thought that would have been a fair result. I thought the Maribor's first and second goal were very cheap. The first especially, it was a throw-in, and I think it was the camera seemed to focus on Wallace, and Wallace seemed to switch off. In fact, the whole defence seemed to switch off, and the throw-in came in, and the next thing it was a goal. Premier Sports weren't very good at showing an actual replay of how the ball got there. I'm not sure if they were relying on a feed from Maribor or not, but it wasn't too good. Yeah, the second goal, I think it was Wallace got done a nutmeg, and McGregor got done at the front post. At that point, I was hoping for the draw, and it was fairly gutting to see that happen. But I don't know. I guess goals what matters. So maybe Maribor did deserve the 2-1. But
I only saw I saw the goals online. Obviously, I wasn't following the game because it was a Hearts game. But yeah, it's disappointing that they were leading and that happened. But I wasn't surprised. I think I predicted a draw. I think I said 1-1.
You did.
I wasn't surprised, and I don't think it's the worst result in the end. They've got the away goal, Rangers, so I mean, the 1-0 win at Ibrox or more. I would hope they could still get through. I wasn't surprised. I said that Maribor would be no mugs, I mean, Slovenian League, from what I know, it isn't obviously a high level, but they won the league there, so
yeah.
I didn't expect them to be awful. And obviously, these places are always difficult to go. Disappointing goals. I was surprised McGregor seemed to get beat very cheaply for the first one, at the near post. And the second one as well, just poor defending. But yeah, I think
the second one was a back heel at the back post, wasn't it? I was.
But yeah, I mean,
it's the first one.
I think there's maybe a little. I think Rangers and Celtic move on to the Celtic game as well. I think they're both in okay positions. Like Celtic drew at home. You'd be concerned about them just because they travel so poorly usually in Europe, but at the same time they didn't concede an away goal. So the tie is still, if Celtic go in front in Switzerland, suddenly Sion need to score twice. So I think Rangers are probably in the best position because they've got the home leg still to come.
Yeah.
But I could see them both still going through, and I hope they can. And then obviously Hearts is just the case of trying to regain some pride. And I think for the second leg at White Hart Lane, we will see a very weakened Spurs team this time, because I don't think he'd be too worried about losing the tie anymore.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let's see. Just to highlight my mistake, I'm going to mention that I put down 2-1 Rangers for the Rangers Maribor game, so I got that totally wrong.
Yeah, I think we both put down comfortable Celtic wins for the Celtic game, didn't we?
We both put 3-0 down for Celtic Sion, which is obviously 0-0, and I didn't get a chance to see that at all. I'm not sure if there was any highlights available online.
No idea. I don't think it didn't sound like the most exciting game. I think Celtic, by the sounds of it, were always in control, but just couldn't score, which would be a worry for Lennon, because I'll aptly maybe use that to move on to the SPL for you. Because, a bit of a worry with the last two games for Celtic, because it's two games where they seem to have been in control and haven't managed to score. But obviously, at the weekend, in the football, the opposition did manage to score. So I'll let you move on to the SPL with that.
Well, yeah, we'll start then with the Celtic St Johnstone game, which happened earlier today and Sunday. I was watching the Rangers game on my Sky player, but I was also watching a legal stream. Can I call it that? I think I've got myself in trouble there, but I was watching a legal stream, Celtic St Johnstone for the first half, and listening on the radio for the second half. And to be honest, Celtic seemed to be on top throughout, but they were unlucky to lose that goal to St Johnstone, who I think I said last week had no chance of scoring.
Yep.
So I hold my hands up to that. And well, to be honest, it sounds like St Johnstone done a good job. It's not attractive, but they seem to defend well. Even near the end, they had the odd chance on a break. So yeah, well done to St Johnstone winning that 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we aren't good at the whole predicting malarkey, but I think I don't think we could really be blamed for that. I don't think many people would have put down St Johnstone to score, let alone not lose, let alone win.
Yeah.
So I think some people said in the forum that maybe Lennon maybe underestimated them because he kind of changed the team a bit after the European game, and one of those games, certainly a surprise. Really didn't, Celtic at home. I think if you'd picked any team just now, St Johnstone don't seem to have much confidence. Don't seem to be having any luck in front of goal. If you'd given me any team, maybe bar possibly maybe Inverness would be the only other team that would be more comfortable. You'd expect Celtic to beat would be St Johnstone. But that's why football is brilliant. These things do sometimes happen, and just like Spurs can put 5 past Hearts, sometimes it's the smaller team who do get the result. And I suppose it's great for St Johnstone to get that first result, and what a confidence booster to have it at Parkhead. But yeah, a bit worrying. I don't think there'll be too much alarm bells for Celtic yet. It's early days, but
yeah,
certainly not great to lose. I think they only lost once at home all last season.
I think so. Yeah, I did hear that stat on the radio. Yeah,
in the league.
And prediction wise, well, it's a pretty poor show from us. I went for 3-0 and you went for 4-0. So both wildly wrong.
Celtic actually ruined a good coupon I had today. I think I had about 7 games, a couple of aways, a couple of homes. I included a draw in it as well, which I got right with the Hearts game. So I think it would have been, because it was Ladbrokes, it didn't show my the odds, which I don't like. But I'm pretty sure it would have been a good payout we would have been getting. And Celtic was the one game that let me down. So I can't be that bad at predicting games. I had 6 out of those 7 right, and the one I got wrong was Celtic getting beat by St Johnstone.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was the other games? The other games on Saturday, I saw the highlights. I think maybe not too much surprise at Pataudry. Probably won't go into too much depth on it, since I think you probably just like me, probably just saw the highlights.
Yeah.
But good for Aberdeen, they needed to get the first goals in and the first win as well. So not surprised.